Good evening, folks. This is Sean, the Togo brother. Um, so I'm doing these podcasts for you guys. First and foremost, welcome. I appreciate you guys checking in and watching and listening to me and that sort of thing. So you guys already know this whole general idea of this podcast. It's to talk about some struggles, some things, some tips, and some basically some stories that I can recount from having autism, all that good stuff. Um, and I usually will like to keep this side separate from my aviation side. Now, I will be referencing occasions from there, but this is just an insight into my own life and how I've dealt with and coped with autism and that sort of thing. Um, Let me explain this to you guys first. Autism to me is a disability, yes, but autism to me is also an ability. Okay, I see a ability in my ability. Okay, there are going to be struggles and there are going to be some complications involved in some of my daily life's issues, but nothing is impossible for me. I may need some more assistance. I may need some further time and that sort of thing, but eventually I will get there. Okay, the title of this video is Advocating for Oneself. Now, I talk about this because growing up as a kid, um, and by kid, I mean before my really teenage years, okay? The years between 11 to about 17 years old, okay? This was preteen, pre-adolescent years. Um, and kind of on the cusp of that adolescent growing into the teenage phase, um, which is where it was more prevalent for me. But I digress. Anyways, so having had said that to you guys, um, that wasn't supposed to play. Okay, weird. Uh, in any case, um, I wasn't aware that I was autistic until I was, I think, right around the age of 12 or 11 years old. That's when they finally gave me the official diagnosis. Uh, I don't know if I explained and talked about this. I might have in one of my podcasts, kind of leading you into this and explaining a background story of having autism and living with not knowing I had autism and the struggles. And I'm going to share so many stories with you guys on not knowing about it and like what's going on with me, and now realizing that was a huge sign of being autistic. Um, s- Years ago, back at the age of 6 or 7, there were a lot of moments during, getting ready for school, getting ready for, the weekend, getting ready for my family, that I was having trouble doing something and I was just frustrated and I wasn't very vocal. I wasn't very advocate of myself. I didn't very express that I was struggling and that sort of thing in that department kind of. And so I went on and looked into it and was like, okay, how do I fix this? And eventually, I basically kind of threw a temper at that point because it was like, think of a baby, right? When a baby cries, babies don't like to cry, but babies cry because they can't speak, they can't talk, and something is bothering them. They're inside of their system, something is malfunctioning, something is not in normal human regulation. It's off, okay? Not to say that they're like going off, but their homeostasis is the word that we use when we're at a normal life process, right? Meaning like your organs are functioning properly, your blood pressure is at a normal pace, your breathing is at normal pace, all that good stuff, right? It's homeostasis when everything is good at a normal resting place, okay? And by rest, I'm not talking sleep, I'm talking when you're not physically, rigorously working your body, your brain, all that good stuff. Like right now, I'm at homeostasis. I'm calm. I'm mellow, right? Now, earlier, I was walking around. I was doing stuff. I was picking stuff up. I was moving stuff around. I wasn't in a homeostasis type of living or physical motion, okay? Um, and so babies just cry because they can't talk. They're like, "Hey, hello, something is going on. I don't feel good. I'm off. Something is different. I don't like this." But they cry. That's how they express that to us, right? When you adults and teenage kids and kids, um, when they scream in their anger, okay, it's the equivalent of a baby crying. That's basically what's going on, right? They can't fix themselves. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. So they cry. Okay. Now, back then, I was doing the equivalent of what babies do when they cry. I was just like, I give up. This is hard. It's difficult, that sort of thing. And so I never really advocated and reached out to anybody and said, "Hey, I'm having a hard time. Can you please help me fix this?" Often at times I would just give up, like, "Can you fix this?" Like, struggling, that sort of thing. And then it would come down to that after they say, "Hey, maybe ask me to help you. I fix this." That's usually 99% of the time how it went down. So, in that manner, things weren't really going well for me and I was just frustrated. So, but why do I say that? Because I was a kid. I was in grade school. When I was at school by myself, going to lunch, difficult. Doing my work, difficult. Finding and navigating where I was supposed to go, difficult. Learning people's names and asking who they are, difficult. What else? While I was going to places, navigating, like physically walking and knowing where I'm going, difficult. Um, Even going into stores, finding things I need, right? Let's say I'm going into Best Buy or Staples or Walmart and I'm going to find a box of macaroni, okay? Very basic item. But let's say I don't know that macaroni is located in the food section, right? I would just walk in and go, I don't know where to go. Help, right? But flash forward or fast forward multiple years later, today, when I go into a store and I don't know where an item is located, I would go to 3 places. I would first find somebody with a name tag because, duh, they work there. They would know, okay? Don't hold me on this. I know what you guys are gonna tell me. Not everybody who works there knows where everything is. I get that, but I'm trying to generalize here so you understand a concept that I'm trying to explain, okay? So, bear with me here, right? Remember, I'm not here to give you specifics and, details. I'm here to explain ideas and thoughts and process. So, and that's the whole part of this whole podcast. It's so you can understand how we, as people with autism, think and understand stuff. Okay. Because we think and process things all differently than you guys do. And it's amazing how our mind works, but it works. Okay. And sometimes we can fill in your empty gaps, and often in times you fit in and fill in our empty gaps, which is kind of a lot, okay? And I'm not an expert on autism. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm here to express this because I live with autism. So I think it's a pretty fair account and understanding I can explain this the best that I can because I have it. I'm telling you what it is, how I feel, okay? And I can almost guarantee there's a couple, as in a lot of other people that think and feel just like me. So, and that's the goodness of this platform is you guys can share and express your sides, your stories, right? By the way, down in that corner, okay, you guys can drop comments in there. Feel free to drop them in there. That's the whole part of this, right? And I will try to get to the comments as I do this podcast. Like I'm actually looking on my screen right now so I can see this stuff. So let's do this together. So, but anyway, so I'd go into a store, right? Back to the whole story. Sorry. And that's another thing too. My mind, when I talk, it's spider webs. So bear with me on this process. I'm going to do my best not to spider web, but sometimes that's just the way it works. Okay. So When I go into a store and can't find a box of macaroni, again, I know it's easy to find, but just imagine it like I don't know where anything is. I'm brand new to an area, brand new to a state. I was just born 2 days ago, right? I know it's complex, just bear with me here, okay? So, I would go find somebody with a name tag or a piece of apparel that says the name of the actual place I'm in. Like, let's say I'm going to Best Buy. If they have a shirt that says Best Buy right here, and it's the color that everyone else is wearing that's there, 9 times out of 10, they're probably gonna work there. So I'll go ask them, okay? Now, it's so as a person, okay? Or what I'll do, I'll go to find customer service. They help customers, that's their job, that's the whole reason they're there, is to help people help themselves, right? It's to whether it's a return, whether it's an exchange, whether it's to, find out an item, whether it's to locate an item, whether it's to order an item that's not in a store, all these kinds of options, right? That's what they're there for, okay? And it's unfortunately to listen to a lot of complaints, but primarily it's there to help you. So I would go find the customer service desk, okay? Or I would just, like we all have, find a cell phone and Google it, find out where this thing is located, right? But let's imagine this is the year 1995 and there is no phone. So what do? Right? Because remember, when I was that old, that's what year it was. It was 1995. I didn't have all this gadgets. I didn't have all this know-how. I literally had to navigate it on my own. Okay. And oftentimes there was no one else to teach me. Okay. I had to just do it, which is a whole nother story all on its own, okay? You guys have no idea all these skills and all these things that we don't learn and have that we have to learn on our own by observing, okay? Um, but anyway, so I would go find those 3 things. So, let's rule out the 3rd one because we are in 1995 right now, okay? Go find customer service or go find somebody with a name tag, okay? I can probably find those 2 items. So they would probably come to me and say, "Hey," if it was customer service, like, "Hey, go try in a food area where you can find something to eat, and then go find pasta." The stuff that, is squishy and crunchy. It looks like, white and yellow. Go find that, okay? Now, they probably wouldn't explain it that way if they didn't know I was autistic, but they would try and explain it kinda like that, right? So I would differentiate that between, let's say, chocolate or syrup or cereal, right? Because cereal and pasta looks a lot different. So they would explain it that way. Okay. So I would go find it that way. Or I would find somebody who works there. Maybe I would find somebody in that area. Like, let's say you're in Walmart and you're in the food area, right? Say, hey, can I ask you, you know, can you help me find macaroni and cheese? And maybe you would explain what it looks like, and they would say, "Yeah, come here." So then you would follow them, they would show you, "It's right there," okay? And they would show you the box and all that stuff, and they'd say, "Hey, I found it." Okay. Back then, autism was not, prevalent, and it wasn't very open, it wasn't very aware, it wasn't a big major thing. People weren't aware of autism back then, folks. This was kind of like think of COVID-19. Think of COVID-19 as autism, right? This thing that just came out that nobody knows anything about except those that basically developed it and those that are very, very keen on, like, labs and people that study this stuff like it their life depends on it, right? Those are the only kinds of people that knew about autism at the point, right? And at the time when I was diagnosed, it wasn't just autism, it was called Asperger's syndrome, right? It was like ADHD, OCD, right? Depression, bipolar, right? They had this new thing called Asperger's syndrome, like people that, you know, have more than fine motor skills, but don't really understand, social skills and, understand um like signs, understand written language, right? But they can walk, they can talk, all that good stuff, right? They don't need like daily assistance and stuff like that. And autism has all kinds of different shapes and sizes and, you know, designs and all that good stuff. And, I was being general there, like, but I mean, like, there's levels, there's severities. Okay. Um, have you all ever seen Love on the Spectrum? I'm gonna pause here because there's an advocate for people on the spectrum. Her name is Kaylin, okay? I'm gonna put it in the chat, alright? I'm gonna put it right now in the chat. It's Kaelyynn, Kaylin, and it is on Netflix, okay? And it is called Love on the Spectrum, okay? Now, if you wanna be completely, you know, unghosted and you wanna be, you know, surprised, well, spoiler alert, I'm about to tell you, okay? But there's a female in there, and she's very high functioning, and, she meets a couple of people and, things get kinda iffy, I don't know where she is today, and I don't know where her love life is today, that sort of thing. Because the show is all about trying to find a life partner and, a relationship, but having autism, okay? It's like The Bachelor if The Bachelor were autistic. That's what Love on the Spectrum is, okay? And it's a very true to life account, right? Um, anyway, so it basically follows this gal, her name is Kaylin, and she advocates for people with autism. Now, go check her out because she is phenomenal. She explains all different people on the spectrum, those on the very, very, very low end, the very severe, very. Now, this is where it's kind of wishy washy and kind of opposite because when you're severely autistic, you're very low functioning. Okay. Very, 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 very low, like way at the bottom of the totem pole. Okay. When you're high functioning, you're very mild, right? When we think of mild, we think of all the way at the bottom. When we think of severe, we think of, oh my God, all the way at the top. Okay. But in autism, it's the opposite. If you're high functioning, okay, high, you're mild. You're mildly autistic. Okay. And there's gonna be a lot of debate, a lot of arguments, and a lot of controversy in the comment section. I can already see it coming. But, uh, I, uh, I'm using words that you're familiar with, okay? And she's gonna explain this better than I can. The person that I put in the comment section right over there, okay? So go check it out. Anyways, so I didn't know how to advocate for myself, right? I was just walking around aimlessly. There'd be times where I would just kind of freeze and I didn't know where to walk. I didn't know where to talk. I didn't know what to do. It could be as simple as grabbing a pen from a desk to write something on paper. And I don't even know how to go find that pen. That's how bad it was, folks. I'm not lying to you. Okay. In school, homework nights, a battle, a brutal freaking battle. Absolutely terrible, right? Crying, tears, screaming, okay? Because why? I did not advocate for myself. As a very young kid, I was always taught to listen to my parents, which you should, okay? I was always taught that they were always right, listen to everything, and always answer to them, and always do this sort of thing. So when something was not okay and not right for me, I would just let it go, let it slide, right? They would always tell me, "Sean, just deal with it. Sean, just get over with it. Sean, it's no big deal," right? Because they didn't know better. They didn't know I was trying to advocate for myself. So, um, things just get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then I went into middle school and or even before then, they put me in basically a classroom in sixth grade. And this is where I kind of, I think it was in fourth grade, right? Grade four, whatever you guys want to call it. It was grade four or fourth grade, as we call it. This was all in public school. They put me into a classroom and they basically said, "We see you're struggling and you don't understand anything, so maybe you need to be taught differently. Maybe we need to show someone else what you're understanding and seeing if they're seeing it differently or the same, right? Maybe move you somewhere else." Okay? So, they put me in there for, like, 1 or 2 classes of, homeroom time. Back then, it was all homeroom. You learned English, social studies, math, um, science, all those core subjects in the same room. We called it homeroom, right? homeroom. Okay, over here. See it? Okay, that's what we called it, homeroom. So then in grade 5, they would bring me to a class and they thought, well, maybe he's gifted and talented and he's just not expressing it that way. So then I would explain things like, how in the world did you come up with that? Like, not as in, are you stupid? It was like, not even these guys got that. And you're able to come up with that lickety split. Like, we need to, we need to study you hard. So then they ended up, after I finished grade 5, and guys, let me tell you, from grade 3 up until high school, right? And even through high school, I struggled severely, more than you think, okay? I'm not talking like struggled as in like I don't understand calculus. It was like I don't understand basic time management. I don't understand how to read a basic clock, okay? If I was to tell you it's 7 o'clock and it's now 7:30, how many minutes have now gone by? I didn't understand that that's 30 minutes back then in 3rd grade. That's how bad it was. Okay. I'm going to share a small story with you. And this is one of the things that I loved about my grade 3 homeroom teacher. She was an absolute joy because she explained something to me in a way that I never really understood before. But basically, what she was saying to me is that maybe it's having it read to you in verbal words that you don't understand. So, okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna help you guys out. I'm gonna, let you guys know where we are on track. So 7 to 7:30. So she was like, "Okay, I normally don't do this, but let's see if this just clicks. Go grab the classroom clock that's on the wall. Go grab it." I'm like, "Wait, I can just pull stuff out of the classroom? I can just take stuff?" She goes, "Yes, go take it. Go grab the clock." And I'm like, "But that's stealing. That's destructing property. Just go take the clock." Right? But she said it in a very nice and sweet way. I have a memory with this 3rd grade teacher that I'm going to share with you guys that's absolutely amazing. And if you don't believe in weird coincidences, that I don't know what will. But anyway, so I'm foreshadowing that this particular person is going to come back in another conversation in a podcast. And I think I'm going to do a podcast on things that I thought were crazy and too good to be true, but turned it out to be just weird and like actually legit. Okay. So, um, anyway, she went to go grab the clock and like, here's the clock. Okay. And she said, okay, put the hour hand on 12 and put the small hand on 6. So it's 12:30, right? Remember, I didn't understand back then what that was. Okay. Now move the small hand over to the 9. Okay. Move the small hand over to the 9. How many minutes have gone by? So I would count all those small ticks and say 15 minutes. She goes, "Good. Okay, now it's 7:45. It is now 8:30. How many by?" That's where my brain didn't process that. So now I'm like, "Wait, so now I gotta move the small but the big hand, but now the small hand is still there. It's still the same time." She goes, "No, that's wrong. You haven't moved the small hand." So I'm like, "But I don't get this. I'm crying." Okay. It never really registered to me that it was about an hour and 15, maybe an hour and a half, right, that had gone by. Okay. I think it's an hour and 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. So like that stuff, basic stuff like that, I was crying, upset. But this particular teacher gave me stuff to understand it and see it, right? Because I'm a very kinetic learner, which basically means so there's 3 kinds of learners. There's an audible learner, an auditory learner, there's a visual learner, and there's a kinetic learner. auditory learner needs to hear it to understand it. A visual learner needs to see it to understand it. But third kind of learner is a combination of the first two. I need to see it, hear it, but more importantly, I need to do it to understand it. So that's what was doing while she gave me the clock. I was kinetically learning. I was learning by physically holding the clock and seeing it move. Okay. Now, granted, she had to move it back to where it was the correct time in the classrooms for that stuff, right? Because in class, we weren't looking at the clock. We were just listening for the tones, the bing, bing, right? Okay, time to go to your next class. Bing, bing. Okay, class has started. Like, bing. Okay, time to go to the next class. That's what we were doing. That's what I remember. It wasn't like, hey, the time is 9:30. This class is done. Time to go to lunch, right? It was just, okay, class, go ahead and get up out of your seats. Time to go to lunch. We'll meet back here when you get back. Okay, that sort of thing. So we were set on a routine. But yeah, anyway, back to that teacher. So I didn't understand that basic stuff. Okay. And this was back in grade 3. Now, go into grade 6, and this particular person that was my teacher at the time, a different teacher, okay, because we have a different teacher every year for grade school, grades 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, for me in my area, grades 7 and 8 is what we call middle school, and grades 9, 10, 11, and 12 is high school. Now, I think grade 6 is middle school for some of you guys, and grades 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is high school for some of you. But for us, 7 and 8 were middle, and 9, 10, 11, 12 was high school. Okay. That's where you get the freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior levels. Okay. Um, anyway, so she was explaining, okay, we know you understand that you have material in front of you, but now let's focus on helping to understand you, meaning me. Because I see the material, but they're like, we understand that it's physically in front of you. Um, okay. We understand it's physically in front of you, and you're physically looking at it. You're physically reading the material. Okay. All this paper, right? You're physically looking at it, right? You can see the words, but nothing is going in here. Okay. It's going in here and in here, but not in here. Okay. It's just not. There's a blockage somewhere. Okay. So they looked into it and they discovered that it has to do with the way that I am and the way I process stuff. Right. And they discovered, hey, if it's presented in front of him for him to touch it, see it, and hear it, he understands. Fast forward 15, 20 years later, I now work for an airline. I can see it, I can feel it, and I can hear it, right? um, when the engine is starting, I can hear it starting, I can see it starting, and I can be away from it, but I am in the vicinity of seeing this process starting. So I know, hey, the engine is on, it's going to move. Okay. Before all that, I didn't understand that, hey, this thing is going to move because that is on, right? I would have to go, it's just, it's moving. Why? I don't like this. I hear the noise. I see this. I don't like this. Now, my brain, years later, after understanding how my brain works and having them explain it to me, I understand that the correlation of a spinning rotor, a blade, a fan blade, and air into this fan being pushed out is a propellant propelling or pushing this object forward. aka that's how a plane moves. It is propelled by thrust. Okay. Now, that's neither here nor there for this podcast, but that was how my brain processed stuff. Okay. Back then. Okay. And then today, I have to see it, I have to visualize it, I have to hear it, I have to touch it for things to be understood, right? Like I could go through class on basic procedures, basic policies, but if I'm not out there, and this is why OJT is a very critical, very vital part for me. Because if you tell me, if you show me, I don't get it. I don't. I have to do it, I have to see it, and I have to feel it. Meaning I have to physically be doing something that correlates to the idea or concept you're trying to um teach or instruct. Okay? Like fire. If I was a fireman, if you just told me, "Hey, put this on here, you're done." Okay? I wouldn't understand that. Okay? Like, let's put me in a classroom and tell me that to be able to put out a fire, you just put, liquid on it and it's out. Okay. My brain would be like, wait a minute. I don't understand this. Stop. It's overload, overload, overload. Okay. Now, picture this. You put me in some gear, you put me in a environment, you give me a team, a crew, you give me what is needed to do that, aka a hose, right? I have a flame. Now, you give us an instruction to approach it, look at it, and say, okay, now what's ever in here, put it over there. Okay. So we open up the hose line and we douse it. And now watch this. I can see it being put out. I can do it by putting it out, and I can hear it being put out because you can hear the crackle, the noise of a flame, and you can also hear the sound of there no crackle at all, right? So it's a kinetic understanding, a kinetic process, right? Now I get it. Now I understand it. So now, if I'm ever faced with a huge flame, I'm not going to freeze because, hey, I remember back when I was doing this, or back when I saw this, or back when I was taught this. If it's a flame and I have no way of, dousing this or no way of taking it out, go find a, thing of water. Okay. Put it on there. Now, one thing that they taught very tremendously in fire school for me, which came at a later time. And me being involved in firefighting was a whole nother story because that was one of my like things that I like harped on. I always focused on firefighting my entire life. I was just dedicated to nothing but learning about firefighting. It was all I lived with, just nothing but wanting to be fire related, right? I remember them saying if it's in a kitchen and it's grease, like if it's bacon, don't put water there because it's going to go, you're going to have a bigger problem. Okay. So then I learned there's some occasions where you don't do what you're taught. It's better to not to do it. So now, as an adult, I've learned sometimes not everything or every step that you're learning applies to everything. Okay. Like, for example, in our manual and in airport, we're taught speeds, right? There are safe speeds to work properly, safely, and efficiently. Okay. Now, let's add some problems, some complications. For example, inclement weather, rain, snow. What does that bring? Accidents. We know that because it's written in the manual to operate at these speeds, the overlying tone that precedes precedence, okay, all of that verbiage is, hey, moron, idiot, right? Which is basically the tone of voice that it says. It's not calling you an idiot, but it's basically kind of saying, hey, moron, listen, we know you know this, but listen now, okay? There's a concern that is now entered the knowledge you have. So now we can't use what you've just learned. We have to use a different step. Okay. You guys see where I'm going with this? So now my mind is like all kind of misgeared. It's like you having a car with proper gear ratios. Now you're in a place where those gear ratios are not properly geared, right? Let's say you have your car geared for city driving, but now you want to go race on a racetrack. If you go on the racetrack with cars geared for regular city driving, you're going to fail every time, every, attempt. But if you go take it to a shop and have them reprogram your gear ratios for your shifting, it's going to properly and optimally operate for that specific type, right? Because it was geared for that. It was designed that way, right? But by the manual, this manual states, like when they created the car, right? The manual states this car has to be geared for this ratio for this vehicle to be sold. Okay. It's the same for this thing. So my brain is like, okay, I have to quote, unlearn that and now relearn something new. But one thing they forgot to tell me, don't forget it completely. Store it like you would a flash drive. Okay. That information that's on the flash drive, keep that on you. Put it in your pocket. Okay. Matter of fact, put it in your pocket. Okay. There, you have it, but you just don't have it entered into your brain. Okay. Because I'm going to give you a new data cable connected to your brain with new information. Okay. AKA, because it's inclement weather, go at a slower speed. Okay. So, for example, if the pushback or tractor is supposed to be no more than 5 to 7 miles per hour at normal pace, okay, in inclement weather, it should be no more than 3 to 5 miles per hour. So my brain before wanted to process no faster than 7 miles per hour. 7 miles per hour would be the speed limit for me in my brain. Now, because it's inclement weather, it has to be no more than the minimum speed of the previous understanding instruction of 5 miles per hour. So before I didn't understand that. And I would have been like, I don't get it. Then you know what? I'm not going to do this. Sorry, I can't do it. Okay. But now, when that happens, let's say that they say, okay, um, you need to use proper procedure. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it. I can say I understand it and I get it because if the condition around me, the environment looks different what I'm used to, my brain kind of has a pop-up dialog box. It's an own practice dialog box. Okay. It basically states that, hey, all right, what's going to happen is it's going to look different, but you're still going to do the same motions, just a little differently. Okay. You're going to go slower at a different pace. Okay. So that's how my brain works now. When I realize something is different, something is not right, something is approaching, and that's where I am now. When I see something is not right, I instantly say something quick because, hey, something is not right. I need some guidance. I need some aid. I need some help. How do we approach this? And sometimes I'll just say internally into my brain, okay, let's stop. This is different. Let's go at a different approach. Let's go at a different solution. If I still don't understand that, I'll try something else. I'll say, hey, so and so, or this and that, or this manual, or this thing. Let's find out this information I need because I'm not understanding what we need to do. Let's find the right answer, the right solution, the right process together. Meaning, whatever is there, whether it be a person, a manual, a knowledge based thing. Okay, let's learn this together so we can do it properly without damaging, without destroying, without breaking, without fighting, without injury, without accident, without anything. Okay. Because that's the whole point of living is to avoid accidents, right? But if I don't gain the knowledge, I'll just increase the odds that we'll get into an accident, that sort of thing. So that's where I am now. And that's why I talk about self advocating for yourself. Okay. And that's all that autism is having the disability for people with the ability to do that for themselves. Often in times, people with autism lack the ability to do it on their own. They don't see that physically as a barrier, as a problem. They just think it's the same. They just think, "Oh, this is normal," right? Somebody is going to fix this problem for me because that's how they are kind of taught in the very beginning phase. Because you can't get it because you don't understand it, often in times they will do it for you to show you and hope you catch on. Now, some people, they just never do. And, that's why they have, a little bit more assistance in their daily, um, again, I'd like to iterate this, and I hope you guys don't give me a lot of backlash for this. People on the autism spectrum are still human. They still have skin. They still have blood. They still have brain. They still have feelings, emotions. They still have the same body parts as you do. We are still human. We just operate differently. Think of it this way: we are like androids. Okay. I'm using this as an example because I think it's fair to say about 75 to 80% of the entire population right now is running on Apple. Okay. Now, maybe years later, or by the time you're viewing this, it could be an even half and half. It depends. But I'm using this as an example. So I hope that you don't come at me for in the comments. Okay. But just bear with me here. Right. Because I've been to both sides before too. I've been an Android user and I have been an Apple user. Currently, I am an Apple user. Okay. I'm not even going to front. Okay. So think of you all as Apple users. Think of us as Androids. We both have an operating system. We both make phone calls. We both send text messages. We both operate the internet. We both play music, videos, and media. We both have access to a flashlight, a camera, all that stuff. What is different? Just the way it works, just the way it looks, right? Inside. Okay. The chip is different. The inside components are different. The form factor is different, but it operates the same way. If you want something, you what? You go to an Apple's. You go to an app store. You download it, you click it, you use it. Open it, you sign in, you use it. Doesn't matter if you're Samsung or Android, or Apple or, whatever. Even Windows, okay? So you guys get the gist now? We operate differently than you do, but we still are exposed to the same people, the same companies, the same products, the same skills, the same theories, the same emotions, and the same views. Now, I mean views as in politically, religiously, and all that good stuff. Okay. All right. Now, I don't know where I would be if it hadn't have taken two women, ladies in my life. Okay. I don't mean like intimate ladies. I mean mentors in my life growing up in school that taught me everything. Okay. And I speak very highly of them. Now, I can't give them all the credit because I'd be a liar, and I won't lie on this platform, okay? There were people after I met these 2 ladies that changed the game forever, okay? One of which was my EMT instructor, okay? Now, I love this woman to death. She told me basically, "Sometimes you just gotta deal with it. You just gotta let it go. You just gotta go as it is, right? And life ain't all peachy," that sort of thing. Like, "Hey, the world's gonna be tough, but sometimes you just gotta deal with it," right? And then there were a couple of people that I met, throughout life, and, um, I miss being intimate, I miss people being in my life that I get to share stories and jokes and laughter and, food and places and memories with. And then I think at one point I met somebody and they were like, "Hey, you need to snap the absolute, bonkers out of it because I don't like the way you're acting. You're much better than this. You deserve better. You're capable of better. Snap into it." All right. And if you've been following this channel, I talked about this particular person, I think in one of my podcasts, and it's the same person, right? And my life has been different ever since, all right? I've been mature, I've been self-sufficient, I've been self-advocate for myself, I've been thorough, I've been proud of myself, all that good stuff, right? But these 2 ladies that were involved in my life in grade school or middle school, okay, told me everything. So, yes, they were technically my, um, knowledge teachers. They had to teach me, science, English, math, what else? History, social studies, all that good stuff, right? They technically had to teach me that, and they were, evaluated on how much I knew based on how much they taught me, okay? And we'll get into a whole nother subject on standardized testing because I cannot stand standardized testing. I think it's garbage. I think it's a waste. Do I think it's kind of necessary? To a degree, yes. But should it have that much of an impact on us? No. Okay. Um, and we're going to talk later, but while I was growing up, I was always told, you need to have a degree. 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 Okay. I'm 38 years old. I don't have a degree. I have some college education, but I don't have a degree. Ladies and gentlemen, I am in the capacity and the responsibility of well worth over $1 billion of assets. Remember, I do not have a college degree. Let me tell you something, folks. You don't have to have a degree to make it in life. They told you that, but you don't have to. It's not a life or death thing here. It may help you if you wanna climb a corporate ladder, okay? But if you just like blue collar work, here's a secret. People that do blue collar work don't have a degree, and they're making money to live on their own, in their own life, successful, without any help. You get my point? Okay. Yes, that was a joke. That was kind of a dig. But the point I'm making is that those ladies, yes, they had to teach me, but what they truly taught me, aside from the knowledge of the school part, was to be a gentleman, was to be a human being. Because up till then, like I said, I was in the I wanna fight, I wanna fight, I wanna fight, I wanna fight. I don't mean physically. Now, if I hadn't have contained my anger, would it have gotten that far? That might be debate. Okay? Because I was at times where I was so heated and I couldn't express that, that I had to walk away because I don't know what I would have been capable of. Okay? Um, now, these ladies told me Listen, if you wanna be successful in life, and I think they even said off the record, and ladies, God bless your heart for doing this because I'm so glad you did. I don't think I would have been who I am today if you hadn't have done this. So, I love you. Mwah. They basically said, if you learn anything at all, and sorry for that spike in volume, but I'm trying to drive a point here. If you learn anything at all, drop all of the stuff in the classroom in the garbage. What we're teaching you is vital to be successful in life, is to be successful in the world, is to be successful in humanity and as a species of people. Because they taught me people are going to be deceitful, people are going to be genuine to you, people are going to expect things of you, people are going to treat you like garbage at times. People are not going to do everything for you. You have to say something. They even told me you will not always have a guide in life. Now, some people do because that's a accommodation that they need because they're not like me, okay? Are they below me? Not at all. But like I said from the very beginning, remember, there are levels, okay? And then while we're on that, keep in mind, we are human. We have the same skin. We have the same blood. We have the same parts. We just operate different. We have different operating systems. Remember, Android, Samsung. Okay. We may look different. We may operate different, but we still do the same thing. Okay. Um, they told me that I wouldn't have that particular guide helper person like today. You notice that in my videos, I don't have somebody beside me telling me what to say, what to do, how to feel, how to think, how to tell a joke, how to watch a movie, okay? Because I've had to learn how to do some of the stuff on my own with the help of these ladies, okay? One of them, God bless their heart, okay, actually pulled me aside multiple times and said, "Listen, you can't hide from me." And it wasn't a threat. It was more of a, I see you, I got you, and I understand you. What they thought I was trying to do was run, but what I was ultimately doing was trying to be normal. I was trying to navigate in a normal world as an autistic individual. Now, some of the people, the time when I was doing it, was just trying to get by, was just trying to get through school, was just trying to be their own self. Okay. And one of my buddies, bro, if you're listening, I should have taken your advice from your personality years ago because I would have been the same years ago too. I love your personality. I love your enthusiasm and sometimes your disregard for being normal because today, yeah, that is normal, unfortunately. um, so God bless your heart too for that. Thank you very much for, giving me the visual understanding and insight of that. And you know what's funny? You know what he does for a living? He teaches other people of special education in autism as a living, being autistic himself. Call that irony? Um, yeah, if you, uh, if you see this person and you know who he is, give him a thank you for me. Um, but yeah, folks. So this lady basically pulled me inside and said, "Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. You obviously wanna go through school. You obviously are not trying to leave school, and you obviously wanna be like the others. So we're not going to fight you on all 3 battlefronts. The only thing we're gonna fight you on is turning into somebody you weren't supposed to be, right? Because you want me to be unique. You want me to be special. You want me to be kind and endearing kind of person. The kind of person that you want someone to marry, right? And it wasn't like a dating show where you had to turn me into that, and then at the very end of the show, AKA the whole school, that was what I was trying to do, was trying to marry somebody. That wasn't the point. But instead of them getting to the classroom part, they were focusing on the social skills, the inter skills of me, right? As in, like, when I was around females and ladies, I was deathly scared. I mean, deathly scared. Like, I wouldn't look at them, I wouldn't stare at them. It was like watching somebody that's not supposed to be in my vicinity there, right? And, like, I'd go around and just start learning people and focusing people. It was bad, okay? Now, today, I approach anybody like it's my best friend, okay? Um, anyway, so she basically was like, "Okay, if you want this to be your goal, your purpose in life, the way you're approaching this is wrong. It's garbage. All right? So, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna teach you a couple of occasional days a skill. And with this skill, you're gonna have to practice it. You're gonna have to put it in practice while still learning your studies, going to bed, going to school, and listening to your mentors." Okay? And it was nothing hard. It was like, okay, they have a pen or they have a piece of classroom material. You, me, you need to go over there and ask them for that. It's like a small mini game for us in autism. Hey, you need to go over there and get that item and bring it back here. And when you do, you complete it. Ching, right? We win. Not really, but it's like an Xbox achievement. You now have an achievement unlocked. Bing! Congratulations, you've now been awarded. That's basically what it is for us in life. Everything we like, small, minor skills like that, that you guys, as neurodivergent individuals, right, that already learn these skills when you're born and alive, we have to learn them. We have to then understand them and practice them while you are expecting us to already know them. That's the whole problem today in society with people with autism and the neurodivergent world is they expect us people that have this condition to already know it. And some people think that we are incapable. We are um I'm trying to prevent and refrain from using like derogatory words, but people that just don't want to, right? That kind of level, right? When in reality, we don't know how to say, "Hey, listen, I know you're expecting this of me. I don't understand it, but if you could just bear with me and help me, maybe we can do this together. And then you get what you want, I get what I want, and also I'll learn something so that if you approach me later again or someone else of the same magnitude, I won't have this approach, this interaction again because it'll be the same. I'll understand it, right?" And that's what this particular lady did for me. Is she said, "Go over there and grab that book or that pen and ask him for it. Now, when you do, what do you say?" And I said, "Thank you." And I was like, "This is so stupid." Today, it's ingrained in me, right? Let me give you a perfect example. If I hadn't have been taught that, okay, I was at the post office the other day. There are teller booths inside of where they're supposed to work, and there's a table and there's forms. Okay, I had to send something across, the country, and I'm not going to disclose where I sent it. I don't think that's any of your business. Um, but I had to fill out a form in order for me to send it there. So, Sean, why are you telling me this? What do you think was not there? It'd be kind of weird to think that there's no forms there, which there were. So, what else is missing? Do you see it on me? Do you see it in my hands? No. So, what am I missing in order to do that? Aha, a pen. Okay. Now, let me ask you, when you walk around, okay, your daily life, when you walk around, do you always carry a pen? Do you always have a pen on your shirt, on your clothing to be able to just access? I don't know about you, but I don't. Should I? Maybe because of the things I do in my daily life. Now, I guarantee you I have pens on my work clothes because I have to fill forms out and fill paperwork out. Absolutely, I have them. But in my daily life, when I'm outside of work, do I always have a pen? No. So, what do you think I had to do? I had to say, excuse me, I don't have a pen. Do you happen to have one?" And they said, "Yeah, why not?" Now, unfortunately, and fortunately for me, there was a gentleman before me who said, "Hey, there are no pens here. Do you happen to have a pen?" And they said, "Yeah, there's no pens over there. Here, come here, let me give you one." So they gave one to him. Now, I could have said, "Hey, can I have a pen?" But I realized that's not his pen or her pen. Most likely, when they are done with it, I will politely walk over or ask them, "Hey, mind I ask that from you after you're done?" Now, and this is kind of a heartwarming, heartfelt story to tell you within a podcast. So, and it's not to take away from the story, but it's just kind of a perfect moment to put it in practice and play. So here we go. While I was waiting for that person to finish behind me, and filling out paperwork that I was not aware of, right? Was being very discreet about it. He must have had a pen. Matter of fact, folks, this is the exact pen that they had. Okay. Just a regular pen. And they were filling it out. And he gave him over and said, "Hey, here you go." He said, "Don't worry about it. It's yours." Or he said, "Here, there you go." And I didn't even ask him for it. Now, did I? No. But I can guarantee you my body language said I don't have a pen, right? Because my eyes were looking at the paper in the hand and looking at the tellers and then looking at my paperwork and then looking at his hand and then looking at my paperwork and then looking at the people and then looking at my paperwork and looking at his hand. Okay. Now I wasn't doing that like do like this, but I was like, okay, so what do I have to fill out here? Okay, yeah, I'll have to fill that out. No, that's not necessary. Okay, yeah. And then I would glance over, like, you see my eyes? But I would look that way, like, oh, okay, so he's still using it right now. Gotta wait. And by the way, there were about two people in front of me behind that person. So it was going to be a little bit, okay, for me to even ask for that pen. So, um, and then, shortly thereafter, it was funny because I guess somehow there was a pen that was given to somebody else, and they put one on the counter, so there were 2 pens, and one person said, "Hey, can I use a pen?" He's like, "Check on the counter there," and I said, "Hey, there should be a pen there." And then one thing that rubbed me wrong, and this is why people with autism are so confused in the real world, is because I noticed a pen. Now remember, I was given a pen, I don't need one, but I knew that we're standing in line, and I knew there weren't other pens laying around, like, there weren't a cup of, like, 10 pens, so I was thinking, "Someone surely must need a pen." So I advocated for them, and I said, "Excuse me, do you need a pen? There's one right here." And, like, they gave me the most weird look, they went I'm like, "Okay." I didn't say anything, but my mind was like, "Okay, I'm offering you something generous here. I don't know why the reaction. I don't know why you're looking at me." Now, for you guys observing me, if you're on the neurotypical, neurodivergent spectrum, you may think, "Why is he overreacting?" Do you guys see the confliction now? Because we see things differently than you do, and you see things differently than I do, right? Because maybe you never thought to ask all the others if they need a pen. It's like, You know what? Come to think of it, I do need have a form that I have to fill out, and I'm gonna have to write it in my something. Yeah, yeah, let me have a pen. Okay. So I would say, "Hey, here's your pen." Right? It's right there. I don't need it. I've got one right here. Kinda helping them in the process, right? The thought process. Um, so not only am I advocating for myself, but I'm advocating for other people. So I'm proving and showing that I know that I am advocating for my own self to myself, but I'm allowing others to benefit from that expression, the same token, right? So anyway, yeah, I wanted to mention that because that was that whole I'm like, "Hey, I need this," but I also recognize and understand that someone else needs the same want, the same purpose, right? Because they need a pen. That's the whole point of the the theory concept here, right? They need a pen for paperwork. Okay. But he asked before me. So in school, we were taught to stand in line, and the person in the front goes first, and then so on and so forth. So now my brain processes, he asked first, he gets to have it first, then me. I'm not more special than him. Okay. I may be special in my brain, special in my insides, but I'm not more special in priority of service or purpose or need to him. He goes first, then I go. Or actually, it's him, then the other two people, and then me. Okay. So because he advocated for himself, and I said, okay, when he's done, I will just ask for that pen. Now, hear me out here. I very easily could have walked up to the counter and said, hey, can I have a pen? Now, one of two things would have played out there. People that were standing in line would have assumed, because I know there's some people that assume, and it's bad to assume. Why? Because close your ears for those of you guys that don't want to hear this. You make an ass out of you and me, assume. Get it? Okay. They would assume that I would jump the line and say, hey, get back in the line, pal. So I avoided that by not asking for one. And the second thing was to show and tell you that I am aware of people around me that are before me, and I am aware that people at the counter, being it's Christmas time, because it is the 20th of December, and I did this yesterday, so it's around the Christmas time, it's about a week away, they're gonna be rather quickly, they're gonna be rather busy. I know it takes not but 30 seconds or maybe even 5 seconds to find a pen, but I have other ways of accessing a pen, AKA the one next to me that he is using, which belongs to the facility that loaned it to him. Okay. So then I said, all right, I'll wait for that one. When I could have easily had asked the counter for a pen, right? Or probably could have gone to the store to go get a pen and return. But it was like I was there at 4 o'clock and 5 they close. So as many more trips as I was taking, I was losing time while I had to stand in line to wait my turn. So it's kind of like, ugh, I could, but I'd much rather wait. So I'll just wait. Well, it turns out that the guy behind me just gave me its pen. Now, when he walked out, he was very endearing, very kind, not in an angry manner. Go ahead and keep it. It's yours. I was like, hey, wow. Like that to me was a very heartfelt transaction because I was being patient, I was being very kind, very considerate, very endearing, and I got something out of it. I got what I wanted, and there was no argument, there was no nasty face, there was no nasty expression, there was no um emotion that was disregarded. It was fine. It was warm, it was kind. Now, granted it was the holiday season, so they were being extra generous. I have a feeling that was the case. Or maybe they just said, "You know what? He needs it more than I do," meaning me. I need it more than he does. I'll just let them have it. They come at a dime a dozen, right? Matter of fact, I have 12 pens in my car, but I didn't have them in my car at the time. So I needed one, but now I have one. So the whole point I'm making here is I had to advocate for myself. Hey, I need a pen. I'm going to ask him when he's done. Otherwise, I still would otherwise I would still be at the post office waiting and waiting and waiting for a pen until probably they would have said, "Hey, are you looking for something?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm looking for a pen. I don't have one." Like, "Harry, you could have just asked me." Like that sort of thing. So I was like, "All right, I'll just wait." So, yeah, I say all that to tell you guys, people with autism have to be advocates of themselves. And that's what those ladies did. They taught me that schoolwork, although rather important, not extremely important. Okay. That will help you in some areas of your life, but it won't help you in the majority of your life. The skills I'm teaching you, life skills, are going to help you get a job, land a career, marry a person, or, be with somebody, be more delightful at work, be more delightful at home, navigate on your own, live on your own, get your own car, help you drive around car, all that good stuff, right? Like these skills when they're not around. You notice that they're not here today around me, but I can still navigate, I could still express my thoughts to you. This would not have been possible if I hadn't have known these ladies. So, thank you ladies for teaching me all those skills, and I like I said again, I appreciate you going off the record and putting your pride and ego aside and teaching me the stuff that really matters. Because let me tell you something. Yes, your purpose was was to be a teacher. Your purpose was to teach a subject. Okay. Do I discredit you? Absolutely not. Because I've learned some stuff in there and I remember some of the books that you taught me. Okay. But what was more valuable and the thing that I will never forget are the small moments that you pulled me aside and put the school portion aside and said, "Hold that. We need to focus on this, your life. Okay. That's more important right now. I'm not worried about that. That can wait. This is now because you're in your prime age where we need to explain it so your rest of your life won't be as difficult, won't be as hard, won't be a wreck." And it wasn't. Now, there were some moments when I was on my own that I was frustrated, but I was frustrated at things I couldn't control. You see that? Now, back then, I would get frustrated at things I could control. I can control how I feel. I can control how I understand. I can control what I do, and I can control where I go. If I do nothing, I've lost, they've won. If I cannot control it and I've done all that I could, I win and they lose. Well, they don't really lose, but it's like a game of life's tug of war. If I cannot control it and I've done everything I could, I've advocated my problem, I've advocated a solution, I've approached the problem, I've approached the solution, I've attempted the problem and I've attempted the solution, and I still cannot fix this, well, then what else can I do? It's out of my control, right? So I win because now the problem has to fix itself. Now, whether that means it fixes itself by remaining a problem, sometimes that's just the way it is in life. Problems don't ever go away. But there are occasions where sometimes a problem just kind of weeds itself out, right? Let me have an example. Let's say this week I don't have a lot of money, okay? And I really want something, right? And I've advocated, I really want it. So I said, but how bad do I need it? I have other things I could buy. I have other things I could need. Now, I will be getting more later, but why do I need to now? Because if I can advocate to myself mentally, listen, you're going to be getting more later. If you don't need it now, don't worry about it because you can have it later. So advocate to yourself and advocate for others so you're not being a burden to other people. Hey, don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. You can just buy it later. Okay. Like when you have sales going on. Yeah, but I gotta have it. Or let's say an item is not even on sale. Yeah, but I just gotta have it. I gotta have it now. But why? Why do you need it now? Is it critical that it's gonna help your life, your vital organs? Is it gonna help you do other stuff, right? Is it a life or death, occurrence? Yeah, might have to. Or if is it a requirement to do something to help you keep going? Like if you need something for work, to do the work, to do more work, to get more money, to get more better, that's a different story. But if you don't have to have it, if it's not a requirement, then wait for it, right? If you don't need that item now, wait a little bit. It's going to go on sale. And here's the best part. Let's say it's $15 now and you really wanted it that bad. Everybody had it. You just got to have it then. Yeah, but they paid $15 for it. Next week, it's going to be $5, $4.99. You pay $4.99 for it. Guess what? You got 10 extra dollars for chips, a drink, and probably some other like popcorn thing, right? Like I'd say it's a video game or a movie. You have $10 for that stuff. And you still have that item, right? So, if it's not something that's vital, critical, or in need, and you can be patient, wait. But in relation to this podcast, tell yourself, okay, I don't need this. I can wait, right? I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I can wait because I know, I mentally know I'm going to get more money later. Unless they fire you, and that's a whole nother story. Let's just rule that out of this one for now, okay? Let's keep this on a positive note, please, okay? So, yeah. Now, if, let's say, for work, I need a flashlight, and they're asking, "You better come with a flashlight or you're not working." Now, what do I do? Hey, I have to have it. I almost don't have enough for it, and I'm not just gonna go in and say, "I don't have it." Well, they could say, "Well, did you exhaust all your options? Did you ask for a loan one? Did you borrow one? Did you ask for, somebody to loan you money?" "No." "Well, then did you really exhaust all your options?" "No, you didn't." So then at that point, having autism, I'd be like, "Okay, hey, I know I don't normally ask you this, and I'm sorry to do this, but I have something I've got to have for work. It's only about $5. I promise I got you back. As soon as I get paid again, you'll be the first person to come to bring money to. Can you just loan me $5, please?" Now, I'm advocating, hey, listen, I have a need. It's urgent. I don't have it myself. I need it. Can you help me? Those things just occurred in that conversation. And I just said those five things in that whole conversation, that statement I just made. That is how you advocate for yourself. And if you do that with autism, life will be so much better. I am going to err on the side of caution here. If you are that one friend that is always asking for things, always asking for this, always asking for that, it can be a little bit more of a burden than it is a great thing. Okay. I get that we all live differently. I get we are different, but you don't want to be the person always asking for this stuff, always being that friend, right? Sometimes you kind of, as a person with autism, and this is going to be a bit of a challenge. So, are you ready for it? You kind of need to know where the threshold is. And by threshold, I mean you need to know where the marker is. Okay. You need to know where the threshold is. Okay. Now, think of it as football. I'm going to try and relate this as best I can here. That yellow mark, past that yellow mark, and your positive yardage. Behind the blue mark, where the ball is located, is negative yardage. You don't want to be in the back portion. You want to eventually get to the advanced mark, yellow mark, beyond there. Where you are is that 10-yard span of the blue mark and yellow mark. Think of that as the threshold. That's where you are. Okay. You need to define in life with autism your threshold. Because if you go beyond your threshold, it can be too much. If you go below your threshold, now you could be stuck and you're playing catch up the whole time. It's like trying to tread water and you're barely kicking. You barely have any energy, but you have to kick enough not to drown. Okay. So you got to have that threshold in life. You got to know where your threshold is being autistic between, hey, I don't have this. I need to ask for it, whatever it be a need, an object, a feeling, a response, a skill, whatever. And okay, I don't want to put any effort into any of this, and I'm just going to just exhaust all my options before I even attempt them. And I'm going to be that friend that, hey, I need this. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need this. Hey, I don't have this. Hey, I don't have this. Right? Sometimes in life with autism, when you're in that threshold, you got to let it go. It sometimes is just not worth your time, your effort, your breath, your skill, your thought process going on there. It's not worth it. So you should just let it go. Like I was standing in line. Yes, I could have gone up and asked for a pen. But if having done that, I would have inconvenienced everyone in that whole place, right? Because there isn't a pen person, there isn't a supply person, there isn't a supply area. It's just, hey, I have one on me. You need it? Kind of thing. But they would have to stop what they're doing, give me that pen, and then go back to what they were doing. And if they're in a rush, I would feel bad, really bad. And now add the people that need to take care of business or take care of a need, and I'm jumping in front of them. Oh, that's a whole nother ball game now because I'm not only inconveniencing the people I'm asking for a need or a thing, but I'm also inconveniencing people who think I'm better than them. So that's where being on the spectrum is difficult for some people. Because remember, back to the same point here, you have to know where your threshold is. You can be here, you can be here, but when you're here, there's that threshold of a very fine line between too much, uh, you don't have enough, give me a little more effort, come on, right? You don't want to be there, and you don't ever want to be there, but you can be here or you can be here. But right here is that, okay, now I need to actually put in some of my own mental effort and come up with a solution myself with nobody's help. Now, is it the right one? I don't know. Is it the proper one? We don't know. But I'm going to try it because I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. And I've already tried being here and I've got to my threshold and I'm trying not to go here. I want to be in that threshold where I can do it on my own, but if I need to, I can ask others for assistance, right? Because that's what being in the neurodivergent world is all about. Is navigating all on our own. Okay? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end it on that note, and that is what self-advocating for yourself is all about. It's knowing your threshold and knowing when to and when not to. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate you, each and every one of you who watch these podcasts and listen to them. If you haven't already, you can download YouTube Music, and that will be a platform for you to watch my podcasts if you like them in podcast form. If you watch them in video form, they're available. They're available in video form as well. If you aren't a subscriber to YouTube Premium, unfortunately, when you leave YouTube, the video will stop playing, and so will the podcast. So my advice to you is if you want to put it in podcast form, unfortunately, folks, I'm not on the Apple Podcast platform yet. That's something we're going to get to, and that's something that we're going to try for. Okay. Um, if you download YouTube Music, okay, right over there, okay. If you download that, you're going to look for Toga Bros. Okay, and then you're going to see my that's down there in the corner, you're gonna see my icon, right? You're gonna see my profile picture. It's me in a shirt and a tie, okay? Now, you're going to find that podcast section and you're going to listen to them. And let's say that you're jogging, right? And you don't wanna drain your battery. Well, turn your screen off and it's still playing in the background. Cool, right? Yeah. Anyways, um, folks, if you guys, this will be your only one that you listen to before the holiday season. I want to give each and every one of you guys much love and much support and hugs and kisses to each and every one of you. Seriously support your enthusiasm and your cooperation, and honestly, your uh, your dedication to our channel. It means a lot to us. Me. Um, And I hope that you continue following me for the rest of my journey on YouTube. All right. Again, it's Sean. Let's do this together. You guys know the drill. Here we go. I'm Sean, the Tug Brother. I am out. Thanks, guys.